Okay, get this. Can you imagine a mother turkey being tricked into loving her mortal enemy? It sounds kind of like a weird fairy tale, but the answer reveals something pretty profound about how all of our brains, yours included, are wired with these hidden triggers.
So here's how it goes down. Animal behaviorists saw that when a mother turkey spots a polecat, which is a natural predator, her reaction is instant. It's automatic. She turns into this feathered ball of fury, squawking, pecking, a full-on vicious attack. It's pure instinct.
But here's where it gets really weird. The researchers took a stuffed polecat, and inside it, they put a tiny recorder that just played the cheep, cheep sound of a baby turkey. And just like that, everything changes. She stops the attack, pulls this fake enemy in close, and treats it just like one of her own chicks. As soon as they turn the sound off, boom, it's an enemy again. That single sound is her trigger, a simple, automatic on-off switch. And that's the big question for us, right? We like to think we're way more sophisticated, but the truth is, we have our own cheap, cheap sounds too. Hidden triggers that make us act without even thinking.
So this is the whole idea behind Robert Cialdini's amazing work on influence. To get through our incredibly complex world, our brains have to take shortcuts. We're basically running on autopilot most of the time.
Here's a perfect story that shows this in action. A store owner just couldn't sell this batch of turquoise jewelry. She got so frustrated she left a note for her assistant to cut the price in half. Well, the assistant misread the note and doubled the price by mistake. And what happened? The whole lot sold out like immediately. The customers just used a simple mental shortcut. Expensive must mean it's good.
So what Cialdini calls this is a click-whirr response. It's basically our human version of that turkey's instinct. The click is the trigger, like the high price tag. And the whirr is the automatic behavior that just plays out. There's no deep thinking, just an immediate pre-programmed reaction.
And, these shortcuts aren't a flaw in our design. They're actually a feature. As the philosopher Alfred North Whitehead said, we need them to function. I mean, think about it. We'd be paralyzed if we had to analyze every single decision all day. But that efficiency comes with a huge trade-off. It makes us vulnerable.
So that brings us to the question, how do these shortcuts get used? Let's start with one of the biggest weapons of influence out there, the powerful, unwritten social rule of reciprocity, and this deep, deep web of obligation it creates. Okay, picture this. It's 1985. Ethiopia is in the middle of a terrible famine, widespread disease, just absolute devastation. It was one of the poorest places on the planet. And yet, that very same year, the Ethiopian Red Cross sent $5,000 to Mexico City to help out earthquake victims.
I mean, this makes zero sense, right? Why on earth would a country that needs every single dollar send money away? What could possibly explain this incredibly baffling act of generosity? Well, the answer isn't in 1985. You have to go all the way back to 1935. 50 years earlier, when Italy invaded Ethiopia, Mexico sent them aid. And half a century later, that debt was repaid. This just goes to show you how that need to reciprocate is so powerful it can cut across cultures, time, and even life or death situations.
All right, next up is another huge one. Our almost obsessive need to be and to look consistent with choices we've already made.
Cialdini shares this incredible story about a woman named Sarah. She was really unhappy with her boyfriend Tim. He drank too much, wouldn't commit, so she finally leaves him, gets engaged to somebody else. But then Tim comes crawling back, begging, promising he'll change everything. So Sarah makes this huge life-altering choice. She calls off the wedding and goes back to him. And guess what? Tim doesn't change a thing. But here's the crazy part. Sarah is now more committed to him than she ever was before.
So what is going on here? Well, after we make a big, difficult, public commitment, our brains go into overdrive to prove to ourselves that it was the right call. We start inventing new reasons to support it. Our brains literally start building new legs for that decision to stand on. Sarah is trapped by her own need to be consistent, defending a choice even after all the original reasons for it are long gone.
So, we've got this sense of obligation, this need to be consistent, but maybe the biggest influence of all is everyone else. Which brings us to the principle of social proof. You're not going to believe this one. In the 1950s, some social scientists went undercover in a doomsday cult. The members had sold their homes, quit their jobs, all because they believed a UFO was going to rescue them from a giant flood at midnight. So midnight came and went, and nothing. The world was totally fine, but their reaction wasn't to admit they were wrong. It was to start trying to recruit new members with this desperate energy they had never shown before.
Seriously, how does that work? They got hard, undeniable proof that their entire belief system was wrong, and it made them believe even harder. What's happening there?
Well, that's the absolute essence of social proof. The cultists had given up everything, so they just couldn't accept they were wrong. Since the physical proof failed them, the only way out was to find social proof. The thinking is, if I can convince enough other people that I'm right, then I must be right. When we're uncertain, we look to what everyone else is doing to figure out what we should do.
Okay, our last trigger for this explainer is one that basically defines modern life: the power of scarcity, or as you probably know it, FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Okay, check out this data from a jury study. In a car accident case, when the defendant had no insurance, the jury awarded $33,000. When he did have insurance, it went up a little. But look what happens in this third scenario. The jury is told he has insurance, but the judge specifically tells them they have to disregard that fact. And boom, the award shoots way up to $46,000.
See, the moment the judge said, "You can't use this information," it became the most valuable piece of information in the room. This kicks off something called psychological reactance. We just hate being told what to do or having our choices taken away. So when anything, an opportunity, an item, a piece of information becomes rare or forbidden, our desire for it just skyrockets.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. We are just wired to be way more afraid of losing something than we are excited about gaining something of equal value. That potential for loss is an incredibly powerful motivator.
So let's bring it all back to that first idea. Reciprocity, consistency, social proof, scarcity. These are just a handful of these powerful mental shortcuts we all use. And in our world of constant information overload, we're leaning on these automatic click, whirr responses more than ever before. Look, these shortcuts are how we get through the day. They're necessary, but they're also our biggest vulnerabilities. Understanding what these triggers are is the first crucial step to seeing when they're being used on you. Which leaves us with one big, important question to think about. In an age where we're all flying on autopilot, who's actually in the cockpit?